Hello and welcome to Gone Legends. Here, we celebrate the lives and legacies of Hollywood stars and beloved icons who have left us, but whose impact still shines bright. Their stories remind us that while they may be gone, their influence and artistry remain timeless. Before we begin, we'd truly appreciate your support. Please like this video and subscribe to Gone Legends. Your support helps us continue honoring the legends who shaped our world. Now, let's begin this journey of remembrance together.
Ray Liotta, born on December 18, 1954, in Newark, New Jersey, was one of Hollywood's most compelling actors. He became widely known for his intense screen presence, his piercing eyes, and his ability to bring raw emotion and complexity to every role he touched. Liotta's career breakthrough came in 1990 with Martin Scorsese's masterpiece Goodfellas, where he starred as Henry Hill. His performance was electric, a perfect balance of charm, fear, and unpredictability. Through Liotta, audiences saw not just the glamour of organized crime, but the paranoia and unraveling that came with it. That role remains one of the defining performances in modern cinema. But Ray Liotta's career stretched far beyond Goodfellas. He starred in films like Field of Dreams, where he portrayed shoeless Joe Jackson with quiet grace, and Copland, where he delivered one of his most acclaimed dramatic performances. On television, he brought the same intensity to series such as Shades of Blue alongside Jennifer Lopez, proving his talent transcended genres and formats. Known for his dedication to his craft, Liotta often immersed himself fully into his roles, bringing both vulnerability and menace to the screen. Directors and co-stars admired his professionalism, his willingness to take risks, and his ability to elevate every scene. Tragically, Ray Liotta passed away on May 26, 2022, in his sleep while filming a new project in the Dominican Republic. He was 67 years old. His sudden death shocked fans and the film community alike, leaving a void in Hollywood. Ray Liotta's legacy is etched in the unforgettable characters he created. From gangsters to athletes, from villains to heroes, he showed audiences the full spectrum of human nature. His performances continue to live on, reminding us of a man who gave everything to his art. Ray Liotta will always be remembered as an actor of rare intensity, a performer who left audiences breathless, and a Hollywood legend whose films will forever bear his mark. Though born in the United Kingdom on September 26, 1948, and raised in Australia, Olivia Newton-John became one of America's most beloved stars. With her warm smile, radiant voice, and undeniable charm, she captured hearts across the globe. Her career first soared in music during the 1970s, with hits like I Honestly Love You, Hopelessly Devoted to You, and Physical. Her voice carried a rare blend of sweetness and strength, making her one of the most successful female artists of her time, with more than 100 million records sold worldwide. But it was her role as Sandy in the 1978 film Grease that forever secured her place in pop culture history. Acting alongside John Travolta, Olivia brought to life one of cinema's most iconic characters. The film's soundtrack became a phenomenon, with songs like You're the One That I Want and Summer Nights becoming timeless anthems. To this day, Grease remains one of the highest-grossing musicals of all time, with Olivia's performance at its heart. Off the stage and screen, Olivia Newton-John was a fighter. Diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992, she spent decades raising awareness and funding for research. She established the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Wellness and Research Center in Melbourne, offering hope and healing to countless patients and families. Her advocacy turned her personal struggle into a mission to help others, making her as admired for her compassion as for her artistry. On August 8, 2022, Olivia Newton-John passed away at the age of 73 after a long battle with cancer. The news was met with grief around the world, but also with gratitude for all she had given. Her legacy is twofold: as an entertainer who brought joy through unforgettable performances, and as a humanitarian who dedicated her life to helping others in their fight against cancer. Olivia Newton-John will forever be remembered not just as a star, but as a symbol of resilience, kindness, and hope. James Edmund Caan, born on March 26, 1940, in the Bronx, New York, was one of Hollywood's most versatile and unforgettable actors. Over a career that spanned more than 5 decades, he brought passion, toughness, and unexpected humor to every role he played. Caan's breakout came in 1972 with his electrifying performance as Sonny Corleone in The Godfather. His portrayal of the hot-headed, fiercely loyal eldest son of the Corleone family became one of the most iconic performances in American film history. From the brutal temper to the tragic ending, Caan made Sonny unforgettable, a character that audiences loved, feared, and mourned. His performance earned him an Academy Award nomination and cemented his place as a Hollywood legend. But James Caan was far more than Sonny Corleone. He proved his incredible range in films like Misery, 1990, where he played a novelist held captive in one of cinema's most intense thrillers, and in the holiday classic Elf, 2003, where his comedic timing won over a new generation of fans. Whether in crime dramas, comedies, or heartfelt roles, Caan had the ability to make every character feel real, layered, and deeply human. Beyond the screen, Caan was admired for his charisma and larger-than-life personality. He often brought his own wit and energy into his roles, creating characters that were both entertaining and authentic. His colleagues and fans alike remembered him not only as a brilliant actor but also as a man who truly loved the craft of storytelling. On July 6, 2022, James Caan passed away at the age of 82. The world of cinema lost one of its most dynamic performers, but his legacy endures. From the raw intensity of The Godfather to the warmth and humor of Elf, his work remains a cornerstone of Hollywood storytelling. James Caan will forever be remembered as an actor who gave everything to his craft, a performer who could make audiences laugh, cry, and sit on the edge of their seats. His body of work continues to inspire, reminding us why the magic of cinema matters. Cicely Tyson was more than an actress. She was a trailblazer, a symbol of grace, and a pioneer who redefined how African American women were portrayed on screen. Born on December 19, 1924, in Harlem, New York, to Caribbean immigrant parents, Tyson's journey to Hollywood was anything but easy. She began as a model before moving into acting at a time when opportunities for black women were extremely limited. Roles were scarce, and the few available often perpetuated harmful stereotypes. But Cicely Tyson refused to accept them. She made a vow early in her career: she would only take roles that portrayed black women with dignity, strength, and truth. That vow shaped a career that spanned over 7 decades. In 1972, she delivered a career-defining performance in Sounder, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. With quiet strength and emotional depth, she brought humanity and resilience to the screen, and audiences around the world were moved by her work. 2 years later, she took on the title role in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, a sweeping television drama that followed the life of a woman born into slavery who lived to see the civil rights movement. Tyson's performance was nothing short of historic. For her work, she won 2 Emmy Awards, and the role cemented her as one of the most important actresses of her generation. She continued to break barriers with roles in Roots, The Women of Brewster Place, and later in films like The Help and the television series How to Get Away with Murder, where she brought gravitas and brilliance even in her later years. Along the way, she earned 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Tony Award, an Honorary Academy Award, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama. But awards only tell part of the story. Cicely Tyson's true legacy lies in her unwavering commitment to portraying black women not as caricatures, but as full, complex, and powerful human beings. She inspired generations of actresses to demand better roles and opened doors that had long been closed. On January 28, 2021, Cicely Tyson passed away at the age of 96. Her death was mourned around the world, but her spirit and her body of work remain timeless. Cicely Tyson will forever be remembered as a woman of elegance and courage, an artist who stood firm in her values and used her craft not just to entertain, but to uplift, to challenge, and to transform. Chadwick Aaron Boseman was born on November 29, 1976, in Anderson, South Carolina. From a young age, he was drawn to the power of storytelling. He studied directing and acting at Howard University, where he was mentored by Felicia Rashad and even received support from Denzel Washington to study abroad. These formative experiences shaped him into an artist who believed deeply that his craft should carry meaning and purpose. Boseman's career became a celebration of Black excellence and history. He brought real-life icons to the screen with dignity and depth, Jackie Robinson in 42, showing the courage of the man who broke Major League Baseball's color barrier. James Brown in Get On Up, capturing the fire and soul of the godfather of funk, and Thurgood Marshall in Marshall, honoring America's first Black Supreme Court justice. Each performance was more than entertainment, it was an act of remembrance and respect. But it was in 2018, with Marvel's Black Panther, that Boseman's impact reached the world stage. As King T'Challa of Wakanda, he embodied strength, honor, and pride. The film shattered box office records, but more importantly, it gave millions, especially children of color, a hero who looked like them. For countless fans, Black Panther was not just a movie, it was a cultural milestone, a symbol of possibility, and a celebration of heritage. What made his story even more extraordinary was what the world didn't know. For years, Boseman was quietly battling colon cancer. Even as he endured surgeries and treatments, he continued to take on some of his most physically demanding and inspiring roles. He filmed Black Panther, Avengers, Endgame, and Da 5 Bloods while carrying unimaginable pain, a level of strength and dedication that left the world in awe once it was revealed. On August 28, 2020, Chadwick Boseman passed away at just 43 years old. The news shocked fans, friends, and fellow actors who had never known the depth of his struggle. His death was not only a tremendous loss for Hollywood, but for the millions of people who looked up to him as a role model, a leader, and a symbol of resilience. Chadwick Boseman's legacy is profound. He redefined what it means to be a hero, not just on screen, but in life. His performances uplifted, challenged, and inspired. His grace and humility taught us that greatness is not only about what we achieve, but how we endure. He will forever be remembered as a king, not only of Wakanda, but in the hearts of all who were touched by his life and his art. Burt Reynolds, with his unmistakable smile, rugged charm, and signature mustache, was one of Hollywood's most charismatic leading men. Born on February 11, 1936, in Lansing, Michigan, Reynolds originally pursued a career in football before injuries steered him toward acting. What began as guest spots on television soon grew into one of the most iconic film careers of the 1970s and beyond. His breakout roles came in films like Deliverance, 1972, where he gave a raw and powerful performance that proved he was more than just a pretty face. But it was Smokey and the Bandit, 1977, that made him a superstar. Paired with his natural humor and effortless cool, Reynolds became one of the most bankable actors of his era. At the height of his fame, he was consistently among the top box office draws in the world, embodying a brand of masculinity that was both tough and playful. Beyond the screen, Reynolds became a cultural phenomenon. His 1972 Cosmopolitan centerfold, posing nude on a bearskin rug, shocked and amused America, cementing his image as a sex symbol. Yet behind the charisma, Reynolds was also a man of resilience. His career went through ups and downs, including financial troubles and health challenges, but he always managed to bounce back. In the late 1990s, he reminded the world of his dramatic range with his acclaimed role in Boogie Nights, 1997, which earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. It was a powerful reminder that Reynolds was not only a star but also a gifted actor capable of depth and vulnerability. On September 6, 2018, Burt Reynolds passed away at the age of 82. His death marked the loss of one of Hollywood's last great icons of the silver screen. Fans around the world remembered him not only for his legendary roles but also for his laughter, generosity, and determination to keep going, no matter the odds. Burt Reynolds' legacy endures in the unforgettable characters he brought to life and in the indelible mark he left on American cinema. He proved that even in Hollywood's toughest moments, true stars have the power to rise again. Betty White, lovingly known as the First Lady of Television, was born on January 17, 1922, in Oak Park, Illinois. Over the course of more than 70 years in entertainment, she became one of the most cherished and enduring figures in Hollywood. White began her career in radio before making the jump to television at a time when the medium was still young. She quickly proved herself as a natural performer, quick-witted, charming, and endlessly versatile. In 1953, she became one of the first women to produce and star in her own sitcom, Life with Elizabeth, breaking barriers for women both in front of and behind the camera. Her career soared across generations, with memorable roles that defined comedy for decades. As Sue Nivens on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, she displayed sharp comedic timing and wit, winning 2 Emmy Awards. Later, as Rose Nyland in The Golden Girls, she brought warmth, innocence, and endless laughter to audiences worldwide. That role alone made her a household name and secured her place in television history. Even in her later years, Betty White never slowed down. She starred in Hot in Cleveland, became a viral sensation on Saturday Night Live, and delighted fans with her humor, grace, and willingness to laugh at herself. Her ability to reinvent herself decade after decade showed her remarkable staying power in an industry known for change. Beyond her on-screen work, Betty White was also a passionate animal rights advocate. She supported numerous organizations, including the Los Angeles Zoo and the Morris Animal Foundation, dedicating her time and resources to the care and protection of animals. Her kindness off-screen matched the joy she brought on-screen. Tragically, Betty White passed away on December 31, 2021, just weeks before her 100th birthday. The world mourned the loss of not only a brilliant entertainer but also a beloved national treasure. Her passing closed a chapter in Hollywood history, but her laughter, charm, and trailblazing spirit remain timeless. Betty White's legacy is unparalleled. She was a pioneer for women in television, a symbol of kindness and humor, and an entertainer who connected with audiences of every generation. To millions, she wasn't just a star, she was family. There are some entertainers who capture our attention for a season, who shine brightly in one role, or perhaps in one decade, before fading into memory. And then there are those rare figures, who defy time, who transcend labels, who refuse to be put into one box. People who can make us laugh until we cry, and cry until our hearts feel something we thought was long forgotten. People who remind us that art is not just performance, but truth. Among those rare icons stands a woman whose name is etched into the history of Hollywood, Broadway, television, and comedy. She is a barrier breaker, a voice of honesty, a fearless advocate, and one of the few artists to achieve the highest honor in entertainment, the EGOT. She was born Carrie Lane Johnson, but the world knows her as Whoopi Goldberg. From the crowded streets of New York City to the glittering lights of Broadway, from being an unknown comic with a one-woman show to standing on the stage of the Academy Awards as a winner, from laughter to tears, from struggle to triumph, Whoopi Goldberg's journey is the story of resilience, courage, and brilliance. This is not just the story of a performer. This is the story of a woman who changed culture itself. A woman who proved that you can come from nothing and still change everything. This is the story of Whoopi Goldberg, alive, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Every legend has a beginning. For Whoopi Goldberg, that beginning was far away from Hollywood, Broadway, or television screens. It started in a working-class neighborhood of New York City, in an era of change, struggle, and possibility. She was born Carrie Lane Johnson on November 13, 1955, in the Chelsea Elliott Houses, a housing project in Manhattan. She was the daughter of Robert James Johnson Jr., a clergyman, and Emma Johnson, a nurse and teacher's aide. When her father left the family during her childhood, it was Emma who became the foundation of Whoopi's life. Emma worked tirelessly, raising Whoopi and her brother Clyde as a single mother. Whoopi has often spoken of her mother's strength. Emma Johnson was firm but loving, determined but kind. She instilled in her children the value of independence, the importance of hard work, and above all, the belief that they were worthy no matter the circumstances. In Whoopi's words, her mother was her hero, the person who taught her resilience long before fame ever came. But childhood was not easy. Growing up in the projects meant facing poverty on a daily basis. The family didn't have much, and survival was a constant challenge. Yet amid the hardships, young Karen had something that kept her going: imagination. She was a performer even then. Friends and neighbors recall her telling stories, mimicking voices, and making people laugh. Humor became her shield, her outlet, her way of coping with the world around her. She didn't know it yet, but those early jokes were the first steps toward a destiny no one could have predicted. Seedling struggles with school. In school, Caan faced difficulties. She struggled with dyslexia, a condition that at the time was poorly understood and rarely diagnosed. Teachers often mistook her challenges for lack of effort, and she felt misunderstood. Rather than giving up, she leaned into what she did best, performing. She loved acting, she loved comedy, and she loved the way laughter made people feel. But the classroom was not always kind to her, and eventually, she dropped out of high school. For many, that would have been the end of ambition. But for Whoopi, it was only the beginning. As a teenager, she developed a fascination with performance art. She began to explore New York's vibrant theater scene, immersing herself in plays and creative communities. But she also faced the darker realities of city life. She struggled with poverty, and at times with substance abuse, admitting later in life that she used drugs during those years. Yet through the turbulence, a fire was burning. Deep inside, she knew she was meant for something greater. She wasn't content with survival alone. She wanted to express herself, to create, to be heard. Her stage name would reflect this. Later, when she adopted the name Whoopi, it came from the whoopee cushion, a playful reminder of the comedy that defined her spirit. And Goldberg, though she was not Jewish, was chosen partly in jest and partly as a way to ensure she was taken seriously in an industry that often judged names before talent. Throughout all of this, her mother Emma remained the anchor. Emma not only worked multiple jobs but also encouraged her daughter's artistic instincts. She believed in Whoopi's creativity, even when others dismissed it. And then there was her brother Clyde, her closest companion in those years. The siblings shared an unbreakable bond. Tragically, Clyde would pass away in 2015, but during their childhood, he was her protector and confidant. Family, imperfect, loving, complicated, shaped Whoopi's worldview. It gave her the courage to stand on her own and the empathy that would later make her performances so deeply human. In those early years, the seeds of Whoopi Goldberg's legend were planted. She was the poor girl from New York who loved to make people laugh. The misfit in school who turned weakness into strength. The daughter of a determined mother who showed her how to survive. Her childhood was not filled with glamour. It was filled with struggle. But it was also filled with character. And it was that character that would carry her into the uncertain world of performance, a world where rejection is common, but where resilience can build greatness. Whoopi Goldberg's path to stardom was anything but straight. Before the laughter, before the applause, there were years of uncertainty, disappointment, and struggle. But like all great legends, it was those struggles that forged her strength. After dropping out of high school, Whoopi drifted through jobs, trying to survive. She worked as a bricklayer, a bank teller, and even in the beauty industry as a makeup artist at a funeral parlor. Each job was about survival, not passion. Yet even in these ordinary and often difficult roles, she found ways to connect with people, to tell stories, and to use her humor to ease the weight of daily life. But survival was never enough for her. Whoopi had a hunger to perform. She began attending acting classes and joined small theater groups. In these spaces, she discovered the power of storytelling and began shaping her unique comedic voice. Life during these years was not glamorous. Whoopi herself has admitted to struggling with drug use in her youth, a reality that nearly derailed her dreams. The environment around her was tough, and the challenges of poverty weighed heavily. But in the midst of those battles, she discovered something life-changing. Performance was not just entertainment, it was therapy. It was escape. It was healing. Comedy, in particular, gave her the power to turn pain into laughter. Her earliest breakthrough came not in film, but on stage. Whoopi created a one-woman show called The Spook Show. In this performance, she played a variety of characters, each one unique, each one exaggerated, but all rooted in real human emotions. She slipped in and out of accents, physical comedy, and heartfelt monologues with ease. Audiences were stunned by her range. The show was raw. It was unfiltered. And it was unlike anything anyone else was doing at the time. Soon, The Spook Show caught the attention of critics and theatergoers. Word spread quickly. There was a new voice in comedy, a woman unlike anyone else. Her work eventually reached the ears of legendary director Mike Nichols, who instantly recognized her talent. Nichols helped bring her show to Broadway in 1984, renaming it simply Whoopi Goldberg. The Broadway production was a sensation. Whoopi's one-woman act showcased her genius, her courage, and her versatility. She could make audiences laugh uncontrollably one moment and cry the next. The New York Times raved about her performance, calling her a performer of such originality that it takes your breath away. Overnight, Whoopi Goldberg went from struggling artist to Broadway star. Every star has a defining moment: the role, the performance, the instant that takes them from talented newcomer to unforgettable name. For Whoopi Goldberg, that moment came in the mid-1980s. She had already conquered Broadway with her one-woman show, but Hollywood was still a different mountain to climb. Few African-American actresses had been given the chance to carry major dramatic films, and opportunities for women in general were still limited. Yet Whoopi Goldberg was about to break through every barrier at once. When Steven Spielberg began adapting Alice Walker's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel The Color Purple into a feature film, he searched for a lead actress who could embody Cicely Tyson, a character who endured unthinkable pain yet found her voice and her dignity. Whoopi Goldberg, still new to the Hollywood scene, auditioned. Spielberg was stunned. She was raw. She was authentic. She wasn't acting, she was living the role. And so, in 1985, Whoopi Goldberg made her film debut as Cicely in The Color Purple. Her performance was nothing short of breathtaking. With quiet strength, heartbreaking vulnerability, and bursts of fiery resilience, Whoopi brought Cicely to life. Audiences were moved to tears. Critics hailed her as a revelation. For this performance, Whoopi was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. She didn't win, but the nomination alone was historic, a signal to the world that a new legend had arrived. After the powerful drama of The Color Purple, Whoopi showed the world her comedic brilliance on the big screen. In Ghost, the 1990 supernatural romance starring Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, Whoopi played Oda Mae Brown, a psychic who helps a murdered man communicate with his grieving lover. The role allowed her to showcase her comedic timing, her warmth, and her magnetic screen presence. Whoopi's performance lit up the film. Audiences laughed, cried, and fell in love with her character. This time, the Academy didn't just nominate her. They awarded her the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. With that win, Whoopi Goldberg became only the second black woman in history to win an Academy Award for acting, following Hattie McDaniel's win for Gone with the Wind in 1940. It was a landmark moment, not just for Whoopi, but for representation in Hollywood. Musical note: Sister Act, 1992, a global icon. As if an Oscar weren't enough, Whoopi's next big role made her a global superstar. In Sister Act, she played Dolores Van Cartier, a lounge singer who hides from gangsters by posing as a nun. The film combined comedy, music, and heartfelt storytelling, and at its center was Whoopi, delivering a performance full of energy, wit, and charm. The movie was a massive box office hit, grossing over $200 million worldwide. It later spawned a successful sequel and even a Broadway musical. To this day, Sister Act remains one of Whoopi's most beloved roles, adored by audiences across generations. Movie camera: other Hollywood successes. During this era, Whoopi continued to take on diverse roles. Jump In Jack Flash, 1986, her first big comedy lead, proving she could carry a film on her own. Clara's Heart, 1988, a dramatic role that showed her range beyond comedy. Made in America, 1993, a fun romantic comedy alongside Ted Danson. Karina, 1994, a tender family drama where she once again displayed her depth. With each project, she cemented herself as one of the most versatile performers in Hollywood. Globe showing Europe-Africa the face of a generation. By the mid-1990s, Whoopi Goldberg was everywhere. She wasn't just a movie star, she was a phenomenon. Her name on a poster guaranteed attention. Her voice, instantly recognizable, became part of the culture. She wasn't just playing roles, she was making history. In a time when Hollywood offered few leading roles to black women, Whoopi Goldberg stood at the very top of the industry, respected by peers and adored by audiences. With The Color Purple, she proved she could deliver powerhouse drama. With Ghost, she showed she could win the industry's highest honor. With Sister Act, she became a pop culture icon. This trilogy of triumphs, drama, comedy, and music, defined her as one of the greatest performers of her generation. And yet, even as she stood in the spotlight of Hollywood stardom, Whoopi Goldberg was not finished. The next chapters of her career would take her across film, television, and Broadway, and ultimately, into the history books as one of the most decorated entertainers of all time. By the time the world knew her as a Hollywood star, Whoopi Goldberg had already proven she could do it all: comedy, drama, and everything in between. But her career wasn't just about one or two films. It became a tapestry of achievements across film, television, and Broadway, each thread adding to her legacy as one of the most versatile entertainers of all time. After the massive success of The Color Purple, Ghost, and Sister Act, Whoopi continued to shine in Hollywood with a diverse range of roles. In Boys on the Side, 1995, she played Jane, a musician traveling across America with friends. The film tackled themes of friendship, illness, and love, showing Whoopi's ability to balance comedy with heartbreaking emotion. In Karina, 1994, she portrayed a housekeeper who helps a young girl and her widowed father heal after loss, delivering another touching, emotional performance. She also lent her unmistakable voice to The Lion King, 1994, playing Shenzi, one of the scheming hyenas. The film became one of the most successful animated movies of all time, and her voice performance added humor and menace that fans still remember today. And while some films were lighter, Whoopi was never afraid to experiment. She took risks, appearing in dramas, thrillers, family films, and comedies, proving that she was never just one thing. If movies made her a star, television made her a household presence. Her most beloved television role came in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where she played Guinan, the wise bartender of the Starship Enterprise. Whoopi was a lifelong Star Trek fan, and she personally asked to join the cast. The character became iconic, offering wisdom, calm, and strength in a universe full of chaos. Fans still consider Guinan one of the most memorable Star Trek characters. But perhaps her most influential television chapter began in 2007, when she joined The View as moderator. Taking over from Rosie O'Donnell, Whoopi became the voice of reason and humor on the panel. For over a decade, she has guided debates on politics, culture, and society, bringing her wit and authenticity to daytime television. Love her or disagree with her, audiences always respected her honesty. She never played a part, she always spoke her truth. Though Hollywood brought her international fame, Whoopi never forgot her roots on stage. Her one-woman Broadway show in 1984 launched her career, and she returned to Broadway multiple times throughout her life. In 2003, she starred in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, August Wilson's classic play, proving once again that she was a powerhouse dramatic actress. She also took part in producing Broadway shows, bringing stories to life not only as a performer but also as a creator. Her work on Broadway earned her one of the most coveted honors in entertainment, a Tony Award. Whoopi's career highlights weren't limited to acting. She also became one of Hollywood's most trusted hosts. She hosted the Academy Awards 4 times, in 1994, 1996, 1999, and 2002. Each time, she brought her humor, her fearlessness, and her unique style to the biggest night in Hollywood. She was the first Black woman to host the Oscars, breaking yet another barrier. Audiences loved her hosting because she was never stiff, never predictable. She brought warmth and calmed. There are great actors. There are great comedians. There are great entertainers. But only a handful of performers in all of history have reached the pinnacle of success across every corner of the arts. That pinnacle is called the EGOT. EGOT stands for Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, the 4 highest honors in television, music, film, and theater. Very few names belong to this exclusive club. And one of those names is Whoopi Goldberg. Her first major award came in 1985. After the Broadway success of her one-woman show, Whoopi Goldberg, Direct from Broadway was recorded and released as a comedy album. The album was so groundbreaking, so hilarious, and so original that it won the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Recording. In that moment, Whoopi joined legends like Richard Pryor and George Carlin as one of the great comedic voices of her generation. The Grammy was more than a trophy. It was proof that the girl from New York's projects had turned her humor into an art form recognized by the world. In 1990, Whoopi's name was called on the stage of the Academy Awards. Her role as Oda Mae Brown in Ghost had captivated the world. She was funny, she was heartfelt, she was unforgettable. And when she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, she made history. She became only the second black woman in history to win an Academy Award for acting, following Hattie McDaniel's win for Gone with the Wind in 1940. The Oscar didn't just belong to Whoopi, it belonged to every young actor who saw themselves reflected in her. It was a symbol of possibility, proof that Hollywood's doors could not remain closed forever. By the early 2000s, Whoopi had already conquered film and television. But her love for Broadway never faded. In 2002, she became a producer on the Broadway musical Thoroughly Modern Millie. The show was a hit, and it won the Tony Award for Best Musical. With that, Whoopi added another jewel to her crown. She was no longer just a performer. She was a force behind the scenes, shaping the future of theater. Whoopi's presence on television was just as powerful as her work in film and theater. She won Daytime Emmy Awards for her work on television, including as host and producer. Her long-running role on The View brought her into millions of homes every day, and she became one of the most recognized and trusted figures in American television. Her Emmy wins sealed her place as not just a Hollywood star, but a cross-medium icon. With her Grammy in 1985, her Oscar in 1990, her Tony in 2002, and her Emmys across decades of television, Whoopi Goldberg achieved what only a tiny group of entertainers ever have. She became an EGOT winner. This placed her among the most decorated performers in history, alongside names like Audrey Hepburn, Mel Brooks, and Rita Moreno. Trophy other honors and recognition. Beyond the EGOT, Whoopi has received countless awards and honors. Golden Globe Awards, including wins for The Color Purple and Ghost. BAFTA Award for Best Supporting Actress. The Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, one of the highest honors for a comedian. The Kennedy Center Honors, recognizing her lifetime contribution to American culture. And her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, shining among the greatest to ever perform. The EGOT is more than just a collection of trophies. It is the ultimate symbol of versatility. It means you can make people laugh on a comedy stage. It means you can move them to tears in a film. It means you can produce art that thrives on Broadway. It means you can connect with audiences through the power of television. Few entertainers have ever done all of this. Whoopi Goldberg did. And she did it with courage, authenticity, and heart. Why to an event often criticized for being too formal? From a Broadway stage to the biggest Hollywood blockbusters. From animated films that entertained children to talk shows that discussed politics. From comedy that made audiences laugh uncontrollably to drama that brought them to tears. Whoopi Goldberg's career is a living testament to versatility. She wasn't afraid of risk. She wasn't afraid of failure. She only cared about being true to herself and her craft. And in doing so, she carved out a career unlike anyone else in her generation. Behind the fame, behind the laughter, behind the iconic roles, there is a woman named Karen Elaine Johnson. And her personal life has been just as complex, challenging, and inspiring as her career. Whoopi Goldberg has never pretended to be perfect. She has always spoken honestly about her flaws, her struggles, and her choices. That honesty, sometimes raw, sometimes controversial, is one of the reasons people connect with her. Broken heart relationships and family. Whoopi has been married 3 times, though none of those marriages lasted. She has been candid about it, saying in interviews that she simply never felt suited to marriage. She once explained, "I like being on my own. I don't want someone in my house." Though her marriages ended, she found love in other ways, in her friendships, her work, and most of all, in her family. She has one daughter, Alexandra Martin, born in 1973. Alex followed in her mother's footsteps, becoming an actress and producer. Through Alex, Whoopi is also a grandmother and even a great-grandmother. She often speaks proudly of her family, calling them her greatest joy. Challenges and struggles. Life hasn't been without difficulty. Whoopi has battled health issues, including dyslexia and later conditions that limited her mobility. She has faced criticism, controversy, and the relentless judgment of the public eye. But every time, she has risen with resilience. She has admitted mistakes, learned from them, and moved forward. That ability to acknowledge her humanity without hiding behind a celebrity mask has made her one of the most relatable stars in the world. Globe showing Europe-Africa advocacy and activism. Whoopi has always used her platform for more than entertainment. In the 1980s, she became one of the earliest celebrity advocates for AIDS awareness, at a time when fear and stigma kept many silent. She performed in countless charity events and spoke openly about compassion, justice, and education. She has championed racial equality, women's rights, and LGBTQ+ rights, using her voice to challenge prejudice and support progress. And on The View, she has never been afraid to tackle politics, culture, or social issues head-on. Whether you agree with her or not, her fearlessness is undeniable. She speaks her truth, always. Whoopi Goldberg's personal life is proof that success does not erase struggle. She has lived through heartbreak, criticism, and loss. She has stumbled, but she has also stood tall. And in every challenge, she has found a way to transform pain into strength, both for herself and for the millions who look up to her. Whoopi Goldberg's legacy is not just measured in awards or film roles. It is measured in the impact she has had on culture, on representation, and on the generations that followed her. She was one of the first black women to become a global movie star at a time when Hollywood offered almost no leading roles for women of color. She broke barriers not with anger, but with talent, charisma, and undeniable presence. She showed the world that a woman could be funny, dramatic, commanding, and vulnerable all at once. She refused to be typecast. She refused to be limited. Her influence is everywhere. Actresses like Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, Tiffany Haddish, and countless others point to Whoopi as a trailblazer who opened doors. Comedians look to her as proof that humor can be both silly and deeply meaningful. And fans, millions of them across the globe, remember how she made them laugh, how she made them cry, how she made them believe. Beyond film and television, Whoopi became part of pop culture itself. Her characters, Salai in The Color Purple, Oda Mae in Ghost, Dolores in Sister Act, and Guinan in Star Trek, became unforgettable. Her Oscar hosting, her candid interviews, her bold opinions, all of it made her more than an entertainer. She became a voice of her generation. With her EGOT status, her decades of work, and her influence across comedy, drama, Broadway, and television, Whoopi Goldberg is not just successful. She is a living legend. Her name belongs in the same breath as the greatest performers in history. And the fact that she is still alive today, still speaking her truth, still inspiring millions, that makes her story even more powerful. From the housing projects of New York City to the stages of Broadway. From a one-woman comedy show to the Academy Award stage as a winner. From laughter to tears, from television to theater, from Hollywood to the world. Whoopi Goldberg has lived a life of extraordinary courage, creativity, and authenticity. She has broken barriers. She has made history. She has touched lives. And the most powerful part of her story is this: she is still here. Alive. Present. A living reminder that resilience, truth, and talent can overcome anything. Whoopi Goldberg is not just an entertainer. She is a trailblazer. A truth teller. A force of nature. And above all, she is, and always will be, a legend. Person with praying hands, if this tribute touched you, please like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and share it with others who cherish the memory of America's greatest stars.